Welcome to the Hitch List, a podcast for wedding lovers, planners, and party people. We're your hosts, Abby.
And I'm Cassidy, two seasoned event vendors spilling the champagne on what really goes on behind the scenes.
From the planning stage to the final send-off, we're diving into everything events. Brides, grooms, planners, parties, vendors, and the wild stuff no one tells you about.
Whether you're planning your dream day, you're knee-deep in vendor contracts, or working in the industry, we've got the tips, tea, and timeline talk to keep you sane.
This is the Hitch List, where we plan, party, and celebrate every detail. Hey guys, thanks for joining us today for our very first episode.
The first one we've ever recorded in this room. The first episode this room has ever seen.
You'll get a backstory later on that. Anyways, thank you guys so very much for tuning in today. This is for our very first episode. It's just going to be a quick introduction of the podcast, who we are, and our background, how we met, what we want this podcast to be. So, I'm Abby. I am the owner of Bamari Event Planning. We have been in business since 2019. I have been doing events for about 10 years now. I always had a passion for doing events as, like a preteen and as a teenager, but obviously could only do so much as a child. I couldn't go book vendors and that type of thing. But I always had a passion for planning surprises, doing those little celebrations that made those around me feel special. And so when I went to college, I knew I wanted to pursue a degree in marketing so that I could own my own business one day within the event world. I didn't know if it would be weddings or just events in general. And then got to college, was enrolled in their marketing program. So I started working at the theater that was at the college I was enrolled at the time in their arts education department. So that department brought arts education to school-aged children through summer camps, different events that we would put on, and that's kind of where my passion for events as a whole really took off. I loved getting to bring that type of programming to the children in our region who would otherwise never get to experience the arts of any kind. And graduated college, moved to the coast to be with the man that is now my husband.
Yay.
My hubby, yeah. Moved to the coast to be with the man that is now my husband, and started working for a casino in their marketing department doing events with them, and did that for a couple of years. And then one day woke up and was like, why am I doing events for a large corporation when I could be doing them for myself? I knew that this was always what I wanted to do. So I started Bamari, and I did both for a couple of years before I was able to take Bamari full time. And after we got pregnant with my son, I started doing Bamari full time, and here we are.
Yes, so your name, Bamari, how did it get its name? Bamari.
Its name, say long story short, but what do you always say? Say long story short, long story long.
Long story short.
Even though it's not a short story.
No, it's not short. How did... It's not a short story, but to summarize, to SparkNote it.
I love giraffes. Giraffes are native to Africa. Swahili is one of the languages there. Roundabout way, I became interested in the Swahili language. And when I was going to start my business, I thought it would be fun maybe to possibly have a Swahili name as the name of my business, because I had named two of the animals that me and my husband have in Swahili names. Mm-hmm. And I thought, let me just look into it. Maybe that's just like a fun thing to get my creative juices flowing
flowing.
to like see what works, because I didn't want to do anything just kind of generic. Like I wanted to have purpose behind it. And in my research at the start of trying to decide a name, I discovered that the word Swahili is actually Arabic for coastal people, which to me was kind of like a God wink that I'm on the right path, because I had just moved to the coast to, again, be with this man that I knew I was going to marry. We were not married yet, and I'm ready to take on this journey of starting my business. So it kind of was like okay, yep, I'm on the right path. Like I said, a God wink. And so then I started doing more and more research into the Swahili language and words that kind of resounded with me and what they were in that language, and discovered that ocean or sea is Bahari in Swahili. So I removed the H out of that word and replaced it with an M for my maiden name.
Okay, I was going to say,
Bamari.
Place it for the end, but that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I knew I would be giving, I was not yet married, like I said, but I knew I would be
getting married.
Well, I knew I would be giving up my maiden name one day to take on my husband's name, and that's who I had been for 20-something years, and it's still a special part of me, and I think that, I always did that I always want to do things with a purpose, and I didn't just, hop on Canva and pick out a generic logo or Google or Chat GPT a name for a wedding planning business. Like,
right.
It had to be meaningful to me, and all along that journey of finding out what this business should be named, I was getting those confirmations and those signs that I was on the right path. So yeah, that's how Bamari was born. So Cassie, tell us about you and your businesses.
Plural.
Yes.
Okay, so my name is Cassidy Ross. I am the owner of Bronze Beauty Sunless Tanning. Oh, mouthful. It is a mobile spray tan company that comes to you, sets up, does your spray tan, and then gets out of there. I created this business about a year and some change ago, over a year ago. Not quite a year and a half ago, but over a year ago. I started this business. Really, my husband made me start this business. That's actually how that came to be.
Shout out to motivating husbands.
Yeah, shout out to my husband. Very supportive. He was the one that was like, you're going to start it. You've got to start it. So he allowed me to quit my full-time job that was working in the medical field at the time to work for him, so that way I could start my business on the side and have like that extra income. And then as well as doing my spray tan company, working for my husband's company, and then also doing weddings with Abby.
Yes,
surprise!
Cassie's one of our coordinators.
I'm a coordinator for Bamari. So you probably see me do your wedding or your spray tan, one of the two. But yeah, there's so many different details in and out of that story that are there. So that's kind of how I got started, I guess. It's not super long.
What about your background in events in general? You do have a little bit more background in that.
Yes. So
outside of spray tanning.
Actually, outside of spray tanning. So like the podcast itself is a separate entity. So I work with Abby for Bamari as a coordinator for her. But the podcast itself is Bronze Beauty and Bamari Event. Those are two, because they're two
separate
companies that are both in the industry of weddings. But I've worked in the event industry prior to meeting Abby for a few years. So I worked for another wedding company on the coast for a little bit. I worked for them. I did some event planning for the church that I went to school at. Actually, fun fact, I have my degree in theology. So I went to ministry school. Yes, also am ordained. So in the event that your minister does not show up, or your pastor, but that's last resort. I can do that if that happens. However, I would like to not do that because I did not prepare a script. But
we can Google one.
I'll Google one, yeah. But I did events for the wedding I did events for the church that I went to school at, that I worked for a little bit, or So I've done a few things in the event world between weddings, big events, 5Ks, stuff like that, in and out of the industry itself. I've always liked it. I've been the type of person that says, if you give me a clipboard and a pen, I can do a lot of things. I can do some damage.
Wear all the hats.
Yeah. I like to, I'm a big fan of delegating. I love to delegate, tell you where to go, what to do, when to do it. That's why it's really good for me to coordinate other people to be places.
Yeah.
Because I like to do that. But that does not mean that I'm going to tell you what to do and when to do it and how to do it. That just means that it took me a long time to figure out how to delegate because I was really bad at it.
So Cassidy and I met in a 3-tiered
fold of family
affair, I guess is the best way to put it.
There was never an affair, though. No affair was found.
Mari was hired to coordinate someone's wedding years and years ago now. At that wedding, one of the bridesmaids, who was a cousin of that bride.
Fun fact, I also worked as a vendor at that wedding.
She did, and I didn't even know it.
Yeah. How many hats I've had in the field.
We recently discovered that, actually. One of the bridesmaids that was a cousin of that bride, she later hired me to plan her wedding. At that wedding, or in the midst of planning for that wedding, Cassidy contacted me about planning her wedding that was that bride's brother.
Correct. So, for those of you that have lost track at this point.
Need a whole family tree.
For those of you that have lost track at that point, the wedding she worked at was my husband's cousin.
Original bride. That bride's cousin is Cassidy's husband and sister-in-law's cousin.
So we met in her storage unit picking out wedding decor for my sister-in-law.
Yes, they pulled a fast one on me.
No, I just pulled up.
That bride, Nikki,
my
she
sister.
had hired Bamari to full planning and full decor.
Mm-hmm.
So Nikki was coming to the storage unit one day. It was a pre-planned meeting.
Abby was like 6 months pregnant.
I was big pregnant with my son.
Big pregnant.
She was coming to look through our storage unit of decor we had at the time to see what items out of it that she wanted to use with our planning pack or with our decor packages. You get access to those things. And while we were there, Nikki said, "Oh, by the way, my future sister-in-law, who actually has been emailing you but hadn't hired you yet, is going to come look too." And I was like, okay. I'm not prepared for a potential client. Like, you're an existing client. Let me see if I can go pull up this email and, like, refresh my memory. Like, how far along in our emails have we gotten? Do I need to, like,
I don't even know.
Be more prepared than I am? And Cassidy showed up, and it was great.
Yeah, and then
she had a whole wedding vision already planned.
And it just went out the window.
It went out the window when she
saw
our
all of
decor.
It, but a little bit of it. Some of it went out the window.
I will tell you, it solidified her hiring Bamari.
Yeah, that is true.
And that is the start of it. I hadn't been able to get rid of her since.
Yeah. Me or my family.
But yes, so that was a couple years ago. We've since done their wedding. Her and her husband are happily married. We had a great time doing their wedding. And now Cassidy coordinates for Bamari, does her spray tan business. And we recently had a very rough go of it at a wedding that got us talking. We had a good bit of a drive back home. It was a weekend stay out of town.
Like a 2-hour drive home.
And yeah, we got to talking about kind of what our industry needs in our market here on the Gulf Coast. And my husband has always talked about, oh, what about a wedding podcast? Why not start a wedding podcast? And I've always just kind of brushed it off and, didn't really take any stock in that. And then Cassidy got to talking about it.
And then we had dinner.
Why don't
with
we
our
do
husbands.
this? And then, we had a double date with them at the house, cooked dinner, and got to talking about it. And they were gung-ho for it.
They were like, why don't y'all start it right now? What do you mean? Why are we waiting?
So that's kind of how it was born. We did a lot of research for about 4 months. That was, so it is beginning of fall now. And that was very beginning of the summer for 2025 that idea was born. And we started talking about everything. And here we are.
Here we are.
Full on recording studio, as amateur as it may be. We're
making the best of it.
Figuring out, all the tricks to it, all the kinks to all this equipment. And we're having the best time interviewing with these wedding vendors and just getting to chit chat and hang out with them and figure out their behind the scenes things that are going to benefit, hopefully, you guys as listeners, as engaged couples, as those who own your own business in the industry, or those who are considering starting your business yourself.
So what we want this podcast to be for you guys is, we don't want this to just be for vendors. We want this to be for engaged couples, for those wanting to be engaged, getting ready to be engaged, for those that are already married, for those that are looking to start businesses in the wedding world, or looking to really just for everybody and anybody. You don't even have to be in the event industry. You might just enjoy these type of videos and podcasts.
There are so
and
many
audio.
people that provide vendor-like services for weddings and events that don't actually own a business.
Right. Like, you just might just enjoy this. But we want to be able to bring something to the table for businesses, as in tips, tricks, information, contract information maybe, or
crazy stories, what to do, what not to
avoid. And then for
what
those,
your vendors wish you knew.
Yeah, for those people that are married or getting married, we want to bring information about maybe what to expect after the wedding. Because a lot of times we see and hear couples saying, well, now I'm married. Like, I've planned a wedding for 2 years almost.
This has been my entire personality.
This has been my entire
for
personality.
2 years.
What do
now
I do?
What?
Yeah, so we want to be able to just talk about that stuff. Our really only expectation for this podcast is, one, to be authentic. Mm-hmm. We hope y'all enjoy the kinks as we work through them, because there might be a few. But we want to be as authentic as we possibly can. This is us. We are real people here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. But other than that,
our area doesn't have one of these.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of wedding and event podcasts out there, so we're really excited to kind of see what this specific niche, I guess, looks like.
And figure it out almost.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think we're just really, really excited about it and are ready to get it off the ground. So y'all can expect interviews moving forward for our episodes. We may do one or two with just the two of us later on possibly, but our goal is to interview event vendors for each of our episodes.
And this is going to be people that plan full-scale events, vendors for just events, just vendors, business owners, engaged couples, married couples. I mean, anything and everything you can think of.
Yep. So that's what our episode kind of structure will be moving forward. It's just interview style, getting to chat with them and get their insight on their corner of the event and wedding industry. And if there is any topics that you guys want us to touch on, if there's any specific vendors you want us to interview, if there's any questions you want us to ask, make sure you let us know. You can follow us on all social media platforms. You can email us. The Hitch List Podcast @gmail.com is our email. The Hitch List Podcast is our social media names across Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And yeah.
Other than that, we will see y'all next episode.
At our next episode, our first interview episode. So yeah.
Stay tuned.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to The Hitch List.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share your wins and woes. We want to celebrate or commiserate with you.
Until next time, where creativity meets celebration and details matter.
Want to be featured as an event vendor on the Hitch List? Send us a message. We'd love to share your stories and behind-the-scenes moments.